Hey everybody, it's me, AJ. We're doing a Death Wish movie again, and you know what that means. There's going to be talk about sexual assault. We know that's not what everybody wants to hear about, so we just want to let you know before you get too deep into the episode. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you enjoy. On with the show.
Hello and welcome to Creating Canon with AJ Hamilton and Nickel-Short Papplepuss.
I thought you were going to screw up my name.
That's Nicholas C. Pappas. Nicholas C. Pappas.
That was a perfect intro.
Thanks.
That was lovely. So, welcome everybody to...
Wait, are we just going to keep that intro?
We don't have to.
No, I think we should.
All right. Welcome. Welcome to Creating Canon, everybody. Nick stealing the intro from me this week.
You know, I
love it.
It's one of those where I hadn't heard Nickel-Short Papplepuss before, so I figured someone had to say it.
You know what's funny is I was struggling to come up with a new one this week, so I'm glad you went with it.
Oh, good. I also liked the look on your face when you realized I wasn't going to screw up your name, but I was going to screw up my name.
That's what I was expecting.
It was so... Mwah. It was worth it for me.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Oh, boy.
Welcome, everybody. Again, third time welcome.
Third time welcome.
This week, Nick, we watched a sequel.
Yes, we did.
Which I don't think we've done before.
I think you might be right. This
Yeah.
might be our first sequel.
Yeah.
A sequel of a movie that was not a canon movie.
That's right.
So hopefully you've listened to our last episode of Cannon Fodder.
Yes.
Which was of Death Wish.
That's right.
And if you watched, if you listened to that episode, you will probably have a good guess as to what this movie was.
It wasn't quite a departure, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was a Death Wish 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think it works because this is, I mean, what are you going to do? Reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, you know, it's actually interesting because Michael Winner, who directed the first 3 Death Wish movies, said of this movie, when people complained to him that it was very derivative of the first movie, he said, "The film is same but different. That's what sequels are. Rocky 2, Rocky 3, you don't see Sylvester Stallone move to the Congo and become a nurse. Here the look of Los Angeles is what's different. Besides, rape doesn't date."
Oh.
But you know what does date?
That statement?
That quote.
Oh,
that quote.
God
Yeah,
damn, man.
Yeah. I actually vomited a little
Yeah.
as I processed that I read that out loud.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That actually reminds me of a quote that, what did the guy say about how the rape scene went?
Oh,
how the filming of that horrible thing?
If I remember correctly, it was David Engelbach,
okay,
who was the screenplay writer of this. Yeah. Also did Over the Top and America 3000. He was saying, I remember when we watched Electric Boogaloo, the Wild Untold Story of Canon Films, they were mentioning that Michael Winner was kind of unhinged in a way.
Oh, fun. Couldn't have expected that.
I know, and that he was, he meaning David Engelbach, was appalled by this movie, and he thinks that the rape scenes, the multitude, because there's, 3, 4 in this movie?
Something like that, yeah.
That they were added so Michael Winner could, quote-unquote, get his rocks off, which is...
Yeah, that was pretty evident with the gratuitousness of the way all of it was filmed.
Yeah, because 6 days to... The filming of this was 44 days. 6 of that was the first rape scene with...
Oh, that's shocking.
Yeah, it really is.
With the housekeeper,
With the
right?
housekeeper. You know what? We should probably hop back and talk about the story before we hop into all the rest of it.
As we always forget to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, the plot line, are you ready?
Yeah, please.
Should I do the Bronson voice or should I do the movie phone voice?
Would Bronson tout his own movie?
I think so.
Go for it.
All right. If it happens once, shame on you. If it happens twice, shame on you. Death Wish 2, more boobs, more vengeance. Same Bronson.
Actually, same amount of vengeance. we found.
Actually, yeah, it's about the same amount.
Like the body count for his side at least.
Yeah.
Is still 10.
Well, I thought it was 9 in the first movie.
I swear I wrote it down that it was 10.
Oh, then I misremembered.
Oh, you know who didn't die? There was that one guy
who
went to the hospital
from Death Wish 1?
Yeah, from Death Wish 1.
Oh, sorry. Death Wish.
Yes, exactly. People can't understand Roman numerals.
It's really difficult. Yeah, so this movie was Roman numeral 2 for Death Wish 2.
Because people can count 1 and then 2. Another 1.
But when Cannon made Death Wish 3, they moved away from the Roman numerals because they did a study. Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus did a study, and it found that Americans couldn't read Roman numerals. And it's so weird because Death Wish 3 and then Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, were both like regular numbers.
Yeah.
And then when they went to Death Wish 5, it was back to Roman numerals.
What the hell? Which is so ironic because...
So weird.
It's so funny because why do they use Roman numerals in American football then?
That's a good point.
Everybody looks up there. What are they? VIIVX, whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody can figure that shit out.
I actually just recently was at a party where we were talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what Super Bowl is this? And they were like, oh, it's... And they said a number. And I was like, what? And we were looking at the Roman numerals.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a person who I adore, who is very, 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 very smart. Like, really smart. They did not know the Roman numerals. And I had to be like, oh no, because you see this and then this, which actually means this. It doesn't mean that.
The plus and minuses are
yeah. It was so
confusing sometimes.
Yeah, but it was it was very I had to laugh a little bit, and then just to prove the point of you know what, Golan and Globus were right. They knew.
That's true.
Yeah.
They had their finger on the pulse.
Yes, they did.
I did want to jump in, like they were saying, rape doesn't date.
Yeah.
Well, there was actually a huge spike of violence and crime in America in about the 80s.
Yeah, so from the Death
early
Wish
80s.
1 to Death Wish 2, which is 8 years,
yes.
as a reminder. 8 years. One was... Death Wish 2 was 82.
Mm-hmm. And, I wanted to give just a few numbers of, the increase. I did from 74 to 80, which was, I figured, around the time, 74 is the release of the original Death Wish, then 80 is probably when they started getting the idea to make the movie.
Yeah.
Because it came out in 82.
Which is amazing because, too, I just want to throw out there that Golan and Globus did the most Golan and Globus thing that you could possibly do.
Oh, yeah?
In that they went ahead and announced that they were making a sequel to Death Wish before they had the rights to Death Wish, before they talked to Charles Bronson. They just said, we're making a sequel. And Dino De Laurentiis, who had the rights to Death Wish, was like, no, you're not.
Did they not know, or did they not care that they didn't?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Or did they get an early copy of The Secret and they just said, if you think it,
it's the earliest
it will happen.
Copy. Yeah, that could be. Well, this was the movie that sort of put Cannon on the map.
Okay.
Before this, they were sort of known as an independent studio, and this was kind of considered their first foray into big Hollywood films. So I wonder if, because they had been going so under the radar not so long, but Golan and Globus only had Cannon for about 2 years at this point, but maybe they'd been going so under the radar for so long that they could get away with that, quote unquote.
Did they think that no one would see the movie?
I mean, who knows?
But okay, so
here are those numbers.
So numbers. Murder actually from 74 to 80 only went up by 2,000.
Okay.
21,000 to 23,000.
Those are 2,000 lives, AJ, that you said only went up by 2,000. I just want you to think about that.
That's fair.
You monster.
I am awful.
Yeah.
I'm the worst. Rape went actually from 55,000 in 74 to 83,000 in 80.
Holy shit.
That's horrendous.
I wonder if a number jump like that is because...
Reportings?
Well, I was just going to say, because Sweden, I think it's Sweden, has the most rapes per capita of any country in the world.
Good Lord.
But it only looks that way because in Sweden they have the broadest definition of rape.
Oh, interesting.
And they have the easiest reporting system. They have realized very early that a woman or a man who is reporting such a thing, how difficult that can be emotionally and physically on their bodies and on their minds and on their spirit.
Yeah.
So they have made the reporting process as streamlined and as easy as possible.
Well, interesting.
And they've also, like I said, the broadest definition. So things that are not considered rape in other countries are in Sweden, which makes them look like it's a dangerous place, but it's actually a much safer place because the police are actually doing their job. So part of what I was wondering and going to suggest is that jump from 74 to 80, is that partially how people respond and how cops respond to it?
Might be.
Or is that an actual jump? I'm sure it's a big jump in statistics. I think that's actually true. But
yeah. The final number that I have is aggravated assault, which is kind of what the first movie was focused on, I would say. Well, he was just going after muggers who did anything, who assaulted anyone. This one was way more focused on women getting attacked.
And it's very specifically the revenge of the... So, in the first movie, there was an attack, and it was just an attack.
Right.
I mean, that minimizes it, and I don't mean to minimize it, but
yeah.
It was an attack, and then he just went after people who were committing muggings.
Yeah.
Just sort of fighting back against anyone. Where in this movie, it was very specific that he was going after the people who harmed his housekeeper and daughter.
Yes,
well,
exactly.
Raped and killed his housekeeper and daughter.
Jesus Christ, why are we watching these
I
movies?
know.
But the assault went from, this is shocking, 456,000 to 673,000.
Jesus.
It jumped 200,000 in 6 years.
And what's crazy about that is if you even start thinking even further as we get into Death Wish 3, 4, and 5, that's going to be at the height of crime in the 80s.
Yeah.
Where, like, RoboCop was born out of.
Yes.
And that's, yeah, so... I mean, America is on a definite violence uptake. Just in that we're from LA. AJ and I are both from LA. Well, I was born and raised here.
I've lived here for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, so we know what the LA streets look like now. And it's interesting to see the same exact places that, we go today in this movie. Because in this movie... they are frightening looking.
Oh my God. I would not go out at night.
Yeah. Some of these places are, it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
And this is like Hollywood and Highland, which now is like a place that tourists
trap. Yeah, exactly. But there used to be some scary ass people that honestly, it looked like a drawing by R. Crumb. Like it was that seedy. It was that... just every single character on there looked so stereotypical and so grimy. I don't know. Did it feel like it was authentic, or did it feel... because to me, it looked like the idea of that seedy underbelly rather than what that actually looked like.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
This is so weird because 100%, and actually the 5 rapists in this movie are...
The antagonists.
The
whole
thing. They are so cartoonish.
Well, why that was? Is because each actor was allowed to create their own look and their own... so there was no cohesiveness the gang.
That's amazing.
They were all told, hey, do what you want, bring your own costumes in.
Wait. So the guy who shaved his own eyebrows and
waxed his own eyebrows.
So they were waxed. So that guy, that was his choice. That wasn't like a costumer who was like, you should do this.
No.
That's fucking bold. That was, who was that? That was,
his character name was Stomper.
Kevin Major Howard, who's in Full Metal Jacket and Sudden Impact and Alien Nation.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Holy shit. That was his decision. That's amazing.
I can't even believe that.
That's incredible. Well, the thing that I was going to say, though, is like, because we're talking about like how kind of cartoony this version of LA is.
Yeah.
But the other half of that is they shot this on location, and Michael Winner actually just like people were walking around and he'd be like, hey, you want to get in the shot? Hey, you want to get in the shot? So some of those people,
Like the Krishnas?
like the Hare Krishnas, yeah, they were just walking down the street.
How weird.
And they just like threw them into the shot.
I know that that's not necessarily, like you say, that was just a chance meeting. But did you notice there was a lot of religious iconography in this?
Yes.
Right?
Well, like there was one, like the downtown area where, oh my gosh, we should maybe talk about the plot, but like there's the one.
If you want.
I know, right? There's like one, well, I mean, we could probably sum up the plot in like 5 sentences in that.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie,
he gets sort of attacked by these jerks.
Yeah, his daughter is still
Catatonic
from the first film.
Right.
Well, she's not catatonic.
She's just non-responsive.
She doesn't speak. But
she's walking around.
She walks around and she'll like make eye contact and kind of speak with her eyes, so to speak. Yeah. And he gets mugged, basically.
On a day out with her.
He
and his new girlfriend.
Played by
his wife.
Jill Ireland, his wife.
Sure.
That's an actually interesting story too. Is they had been married? They were married when the first Death Wish came out.
Oh.
They did like 16 or 17 movies together.
Oh wow!
And Bronson did not want Jill Ireland. Yeah. Well, let me back up. Michael Winner for the first Death Wish movie thought Bronson would want Jill Ireland to play the wife, and Michael Winner didn't think she was the right person for it. But Bronson said he didn't want anyone to harass her like that.
Yeah.
Nor did he want her to be seen on screen like that.
Sure.
So part of her even being in this movie, there was a promise made that she would not be in a scene with any of the thugs.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah. Well, nothing happened to her.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
The worst thing that happened was that Gardenia broke into her home.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was it. Yeah. So it's weird that I would almost say it's even weird that she's in this because she's kind of a non-character. Partially because she was so separated from the rest of the action.
And there are some weird scenes that are meant to create tension,
yeah,
but then they don't really pay off. There was one part where his arm is bleeding from one of the attacks that someone made on him, and she comes in, says, "Hey, should we get dinner later?" Okay, I'm going to go and leave. And
pick me up in an hour.
And it's just, you can see the blood dripping on the... I just think that whatever they were going for, you never felt like she was getting closer to finding out his secret.
Not really.
Which she did not press very hard.
No.
There was that other scene where she confronted him with the knowledge.
Yeah, so Gardenia's character comes in and says to her...
Shit.
So yeah, so let's hop back for just half a second of what happens is, the muggers get his license. He's chased down one of the muggers, and the mugger's like, well, he knows what I look like, so we have to take care of him.
Yeah.
The muggers go to his house where they find the housekeeper. They rape and then murder the housekeeper. He comes in. They hit him over the head with a crowbar, and they take his daughter away, where she then is raped in an alley, warehouse?
It was a warehouse, yeah.
Well, actually, this was the most shocking fucking moment of the entire movie. She runs away from the attackers, and she hops out of a window, and I was like, okay... But she lands on an iron gate with wrought iron spikes sticking up.
Yeah.
And that's how she dies.
Well, you know what that reminded me of?
Oh,
yeah. Do you remember in Red Lady, the mother's death when she's trying to escape the insane asylum?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Remember when she lands on the thing and it goes...
The Red Lady kills 7 times?
Right.
Or the Lady in Red kills twice, whatever it was.
Unwieldy title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean... That's a connection in canon movies.
Absolutely.
Already.
Although one was way pre-Go-Go Boys, one was after. But still.
That's true. But this one, you're right. She jumps out the window. You think something bad's going to happen to her, but you also think there's a possibility that she lands in a dumpster, as in most
every
action
other
movies.
movie.
Yes.
Well, I just didn't... I fully expected her to be murdered.
Yeah.
In that moment, because that's how these movies work.
Uh-huh.
I was not expecting her to die there. I was expecting them to chase after her and shoot her or something.
Yep.
And when it happened that way, I mean, I screamed, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. I definitely was.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Shocked. Yeah.
And then basically what happens is Paul Bronson. Jesus Christ. Which is
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul Kersey and Charles Bronson.
He uses enough fake names in this.
In this movie. Who knows? At this point, he just starts going after all of the guys.
Which...
randomly, in a weird way.
Here's the thing. Yes, super randomly, finds every single one of them except the last dude.
By chance.
But...
just happens to be walking around town.
But the weird thing is, I feel like this... as unrealistic as it is more of a hero story than the first one was.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Well, because this one...
if they were intended even to be hero stories.
Yeah. I see exactly what you're getting at, because this one, there's an identifiable antagonist that our protagonist is chasing after.
Right.
Whereas in the first movie, it was sort of like society in general.
He was
fighting.
He was just going out after anybody who would possibly pose a threat to anybody in his life or in general. Or in society.
And in that sense, and you're absolutely right about this, in that sense, it's actually even hard to root for him, because the only thing that will make him satisfied in the first movie is to kill all muggers.
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them. Every single person who's a mugger.
Yeah.
Which is not possible for one person to do.
Yep. And also completely against the law.
Completely against the law.
I mean, not that anything he did in this was not against the law.
And yeah, everything in this was completely against the law too. Yeah, exactly. But at least in this, he had like an identifiable objective.
Yes.
Which was to kill each one of these guys.
Direct revenge rather than wild flailing.
Yeah.
Basically is what I felt. And serial killer tendencies.
Yeah. And he basically, and we kind of already talked about this, and we can go through each of the deaths a little bit more, but what ends up happening is he just randomly finds these guys. Like, one of them, the first one that he kills, he's like waiting outside, like he's just kind of like walking around downtown.
Yeah, he's sitting on a bench, and right across from him, it turns out,
is one of these guys.
Is bald head dude, right?
Yeah, which I am okay with that one. That one is fine. The one that I was like, are you fucking kidding me, was the second one, where he's just walking downtown and he hears a woman screaming. He runs to the screaming. Yeah, man. And there are 4 guys. Only one of them is our main 4. Yeah. Which means then there's some real questions about, like, the quote-unquote gang.
Yeah. Maybe they're a group of friends and they have separate gangs, but they come together on weekends to steal money from people who want ice cream.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I think
you know what? You're right.
What it must be.
Yeah.
You know, friendship bonds.
Jesus Christ.
But then you got to get professional and go back to your own gang.
Yeah, you have to go back to your own gang.
I get it. I get it.
The second guy he kills, he just randomly finds trying to attack another woman and her husband. Like, literally the most random of randoms. And at this point, I think, is when Vincent Gardenia is called in town.
Right, because 5 people have been killed at that point.
Yeah, and only 2 of them were the people who attacked his family.
But I don't think they were ever were they ever identified?
Well, I don't think they were identified as the people who attacked his family.
Right. But they were doing fingerprinting at the...
Oh, at the house.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe then they were... Well, we didn't actually ever hear them identified.
All of the undercurrents of, like, the news and if they found them or how they just knew 5 people had been killed. Yeah. And they call New York, apparently, or New York hears about it.
And they're like, oh, it must be Paul Kersey. He moved to L.A.
It's got to be. Remember when we left... let him go?
Yeah. So we better send Vincent Gardenia out there just in case.
To cover up our asses.
Yeah, so he's gonna... So at this point is the one time where she, meaning Jill Ireland's character, actually has, like, a role in the movie. Is Vincent Gardenia's character says to her, like, hey, he's killed 9 people.
I'm pretty sure
that happened. And she's like, no, he didn't. And he's like, yeah, well, you better ask him.
Yeah. And here's a funny thing that we noticed, and we're not quite sure the timeline, because there is a point where the doctor of his daughter says, well, it's only been 2 years.
Yes, since she's been in this situation.
But what I felt from that is that they had just moved to Los Angeles and transferred her to this facility 2 years ago.
Maybe.
So, but that's never made clear. Then at one point they say
in
New York,
Gardenia says it happened 5 years ago.
It happened 5 years ago, and then like 3 scenes later, when he's talking to her, he says again, this happened 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Which, where's the continuity person? How is that not just in the script, or did he flub his line?
Yeah, well, that would be weird.
Yeah.
That's just weird if it's a flub or if it's not in the script. Like, no matter what, this is weird.
It was a 44-day shoot, by the way.
Yeah.
Which, if that guy didn't catch that he was saying 5 in one scene and 4 in another, he has bad memory.
Yes, absolutely.
But I love him. He's
Vincent
hilarious.
Gardenia?
Yeah.
Oh, he's great in this movie. I mean, he was great in the first one. He's great in this one.
Him and his sneezing.
You hated that. Oh my god.
Just a weird affectation to have, man. And then have the banaka and or the spray paint, we don't know.
It was a huge can, which was exactly the same size can. Like, it was either the biggest can of banaka or the smallest can of spray paint,
Exactly.
which both were in this movie. We just weren't sure what was what. I mean,
one dude had a handheld, palm-sized spray paint can on the bus. Yeah.
We should mention that the very opening sequence of this movie is just shots of Los Angeles with crime stats over it.
Yeah.
Which was really, and like, the music, which was done by Jimmy Page, by the way.
Yeah.
Jimmy Led Zeppelin Page. It was so weird in that the music was so loud, I actually couldn't hear the crime statistics. All I could hear was like, crime is up and...
This movie was definitely scored by someone who was in Led Zeppelin. It was overbearing at times.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was from a different movie.
Oh my god. There was that one scene when Bronson first starts going and like walking downtown to find the guys who hurt his family.
Right.
It does the straight up purge thing over and over.
Sure.
And that was like the soundtrack of the movie.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Also, right after his daughter dies, the first thing he does... Do you remember what he does in this movie? You remember he goes... In the first movie, after his wife dies, he gets sent to Arizona, and there's like a 30-minute sequence in Arizona where he sort of like...
establishes his
his gun-toting past.
Gun-toting past, right? Yeah.
Whatnot. In this movie, after his daughter dies, he's like, I'm going to go stay in a cabin for a while. And he goes to a cabin. There's like 5 shots of him standing looking at nature.
And then
you hear a wolf howl.
And then a couple of shots of him cutting wood.
Oh my god, that chopping wood sequence.
Half of the wood was going into the water.
Yeah, he was chopping wood by a river, and every time he chopped the wood, the right half of the wood would fall into a pile that he's going to burn, and the left half falls directly in the river. And AJ and I were like, this is insane.
He's building a dam.
He was. I'm building a damn dam. But
it's like, it's about 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
Or
less.
And it just
might have
makes
been a minute.
No sense, because neither before the time away or after the time away does he change any sort of emotion. He has no emotion when he hears that his daughter is dead, when he sees her dead body.
I'm sorry, AJ.
Yes, sir.
I have to stop you here.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that Charles Bronson's range of emotion is razor thin?
I think that's too thick. I think razor is too thick.
I am so angry at you.
He smiles sometimes, and then he scowls a lot.
If you can't... Look.
Is it all happening inside?
I'm just going to suggest this. Okay. Rather than question Charles Bronson's acting, why don't you question your ability to read Charles Bronson? Because it is very clear.
You're right.
Every single second what he is going through.
I'm the one at fault. I know. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't even deserve to watch this movie.
No, apparently not. That's it. I'm done. I mean, I'm done with that bit. You can move on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you agree with me?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, yes, but no, not at all.
You know what I loved about all of the revenge scenes? And I gotta tell you this.
Oh, my God.
The power of bullets.
Ugh.
The first dude he kills, the one with no eyebrows, no, not the first guy, but he's like the second guy. He, first of all, the line is great.
God. Oh my God. Well, first of all, in that scene, the metaphor of Bronson follows this dude into a building. And in that building is nothing but rats. Like, it was supposed to be like a rat-infested building, but like, it was rat-infested in a way that was almost funny in that if I were to guess, there were 200 rats.
Yeah.
Or more. They
Probably
were
trained rats.
everywhere. And they all were just really cool about like people walking by.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of? The incredibly forced metaphor at the end of Departed.
Yes, in a way.
You know?
Well, that's because exactly right.
Yeah.
He went in there to find these rats.
A rat's nest.
A rat's nest. And in this rat's nest, he sees a huge fucking cocaine deal going down. He kills one of the guys. There's 4 people there.
Which was slightly funny or coincidental.
Oh, right.
That the way that he is found out is he kicks a Coke can down and people hear him and God damn it.
Well, and what was amazing too about that moment is he's walking down the stairs and we're watching him walk past the rat step by step by step. He ducks and then it goes to like a wider shot and there's like just like a sparkling silver can that wasn't there before.
That's just appeared next to his leg.
And both AJ and I went, he's going to knock that can over.
He's going to kick that, yeah.
And then...
Because there's no possible way that he stepped that close to it.
Yeah. And then he kicks it.
Yep.
He kills one of the dudes that's down there. Not the dude who attacked his family.
Right, yeah. Well, he was shooting at him.
Yeah, the guy was shooting at Bronson. And then there was 2 more dudes where Bronson was like, you two get out of here.
Because they were just the drug dealers.
They were just drug dealers.
That's fine.
Which is weird because Bronson from the first Death Wish would have killed both of them.
All 4 of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And then is the best part. Like, this was like my favorite part of the entire movie.
Pretty good.
Do you want to do Bronson or do you want to do the thug guy?
I'll do the thug guy.
All right, so the thug guy's got a huge necklace on of a cross, right?
Yep.
So we close up on that. Bronson sees it and goes, "Do you believe in Jesus?"
Yeah, man.
Well, you're gonna meet him. Boom, 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 and that was it.
And that shot. That's what I wanted to talk about. That shot from the gun gives the actor seizures.
It was amazing.
It was the weirdest reaction to a gunshot I've ever seen.
I disagree. It was the perfect reaction to a gunshot.
And then the dude on the forklift later.
Oh my God. That was so the second guy he kills, he chases into this warehouse after he shot the dude in the ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Following his ketchup along the ground. Chases him into this warehouse. I'm just laughing because this was one of... So, like, he's sitting on something, and we can't quite tell what it is. It looks like a van.
It looks like a van. I thought it was a van, too. And then he's looking at Bronson, and all of a sudden Bronson's just standing in front of this, like, wall of crates.
Which are unnaturally
boxes.
stacked.
Yeah, they're unnaturally stacked. And I looked at AJ, and I was like, please tell me he's driving through that. Please tell me he's driving through that. Please tell me he's driving through that.
Of course he's going to. Kaboom!
Kaboom!
Straight through, jumps out of the way, and then after he's realized he's missed Bronson, he turns and he's gonna kill him, and Bronson turns around, shoots him in the side, and it blasts him out of the chair and into the wall.
To then which Bronson walks around, looks him straight in the eye and goes, "Goodbye." And then shoots him in the head.
And in that situation, I was like, oh, that's such a shame they didn't have better writers. Because it feels like one of those moments when you say, in all of the turmoil, I forgot if I had shot 5 bullets or 6.
Yeah.
Well, do you feel lucky, punk?
Yeah.
But no, goodbye.
I would also go with, it's great to see you.
Why did we not write these movies?
Yeah, like I would have totally been fine with that. Like if they would have went the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Like either of those would have been totally great.
Great to see you.
It's great to see you.
I
don't know why I don't know. That was a weird accent that we hopped into. Or if he was like, need a lift to heaven. Pow.
Oh.
Right? Because he's on a forklift.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, like, hey, I shot you in the butt earlier. Now you're a super asshole. Boom, right? Like, you know, anything. other than
just something clever.
goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm pretty sure that Bronson wrote that line.
Oh, it was so good.
And then oh my god, half of this movie, not half of this movie, but a good chunk in the middle is him not even realizing that the inspector is chasing him, is following him around the city, and he's following the other 3 thugs.
Wait, what was... I actually just have a note where someone actually just said, don't kill muggers, and I don't even know what that came from, but I remember laughing.
It was when we actually went over this before, but it's when Jill Ireland is talking to him, and she's like, do you kill muggers? He was like, no, I don't kill muggers.
Oh, that's right. That's
Remember?
right. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Something to the effect of, like, how do you stay out of jail? Don't kill muggers. Like, it was something to that effect. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which this actually wraps us up to this long conversation earlier where that this is the only part of the movie where she might have something to do, but she ends up not having anything to do because she doesn't press him. She's like, do you kill muggers? And he's like, I don't. And she's like, okay, cool.
It's essentially a stake for him to have.
Yeah.
And someone to possibly be getting closer to him in his plot or whatever, because clearly the inspector doesn't care. He's not going to really stop him.
Vincent Gardenia.
Vincent Gardenia. Yeah. What is his character name?
Ochoa?
Frank Ochoa. Frank Ochoa is not going to really stop him. He's just coming there to warn him, sort of, but he never seems like he is going to do anything. He's just following him. He's tracking him.
Yeah, to the point where when Bronson is... So Bronson, you were already talking about this. Bronson is chasing the last 3 surviving people who harmed his family.
Yep. Who includes Lawrence Fishburne III.
Yeah, Lawrence... who is the Lawrence Fishburne.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just to be clear.
Yeah, for some reason he went by the 3rd in this.
Yeah, which is also weird because this was after Apocalypse Now, where he went by Larry Fishburne.
Yeah.
And
he's gone through a couple of...
Yeah, so it was like Larry Fishburne, Lawrence Fishburne III, and now he's just Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, exactly. But he played Cutter, who had those cool-ass Back to the Future 2 glasses.
Well, I was going to say they look like Data's glasses, almost.
But
like blue.
Right. Yeah.
Data, of course, being from Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the one.
I just pissed off every single
emails
nerd
are coming
on
in.
Purpose.
Emails are coming in.
We're nerds too. It's okay.
That's true.
That would be like if they said to us, "Hey, I really, really loved Chuck Norris in that Death Wish movie," but we'd be like,
"Why I oughta?"
Yeah.
So that and actually, sad enough, like one of the biggest parts in this movie that got me was when Ochoa died. Oh, that was super sad.
Yeah. Oh wait, so
because
can we just hop back? Because there was one moment on the bus that I really wanted to talk about.
Oh, go, yeah.
Which was when Charles Bronson was faking sleep, and it was so weird because he's faking sleep, and the 3 remaining attackers get closer to him. And I don't know if it was just so we understood that he wasn't actually asleep. He opens his eyes in the most conspicuous way, looks at them, and then pretends he's asleep again. And because
I could have never figured that.
It was hysterical.
Yeah.
So at this point, so what ends up happening is the 3 people go in further down into this
it was a monument
park thing.
Sure. And they're gonna buy guns or whatever from other people. From
a man in rainbow suspenders.
Holy
looks
crap,
like Elton John in rainbow
Yeah.
suspenders. He goes down there.
Yeah.
Bronson's down there. Gardenia follows him.
Mm-hmm.
Gardenia keeps pulling out these binoculars
that
he's using the whole movie. Puts up the binoculars, looks up, sees that there is a guy,
a spotter with a gun, a rifle,
with a rifle.
In the trees.
The spotter's about to shoot Bronson.
Right.
Gardenia's like, hey, watch out. Starts this huge gunfight.
Mm-hmm. Frank Ochoa kills kills the spotter.
And then there are the 3 thugs who hurt his family, and then there's 2 gun sellers. So there's 5 guys.
Yep.
One of the thugs that hurt his family shoots Gardenia.
Right.
Bronson kills the other 4 guys.
No. The other 4 guys, there's one, the Elton John fellow drives over a cliff.
Yeah, well,
He was shot.
He was shot.
He
was shot first.
Okay. Because that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, we learned that they had shot an explosion for the end of that car driving off of the cliff. They didn't put it in the movie, but then we watched the trailer.
And it's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer. Why would you not use that?
So weird.
Great action moment.
Yeah. It really was.
We got to make this clip. We got to get it under an hour and a half.
We got to do it. What's the most exciting shot in the movie? Who cares? Oh, this was also the scene. This is when Larry Fishburne got killed.
Yeah.
And do you remember how he was shot?
He was blocking his face with a boombox.
Yep.
Which, of course, he had with him.
Yeah. And then Bronson shoots through the boombox. The boombox breaks perfectly in half. And then Fishburne dies.
And then it looks like some sort of parts of his brain
Yeah.
fell out of his mouth.
It was amazing.
It was spooky.
At this point, everyone's dead except for the one person who shot Gardenia.
Right.
That guy runs away. Bronson goes to Gardenia, tries to save him.
Yeah.
And this was that moment you were talking about that was like actually like heartfelt. And like there was a moment here where they're talking back and forth. Bronson's like, you saved me. And Gardenia was like,
did you get them all?
and he was like, no, I missed one. And did Gardenia says, do you remember what he says?
No, did you write it down?
Get the motherfucker for me. And then he dies.
Oh, no, not before saying the, our Father in Heaven, how...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He starts doing that, yeah.
Something. Which was, again, relating religion to it. There's religious iconography, even in the building that he is he's designing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because he's an architect.
Yeah.
He's designing a new radio station.
Yeah, and the boss or the boss's wife wanted angels over the entryway. Also, the place that Paul Kersey rents out is above a church.
Well, because, so this is... I thought
or
this
on
might
a
have been
street
smart
of a church.
Or weird. What ends up happening is he rents a place in like a really shitty motel room downtown, and that's where he hides his gun and his clothes when he goes out to find people.
Yeah.
And on this street, there are...
like 4 or 5 churches.
Like 5, but they're like the storefront churches.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like 4 or 5 of them, and they all seem to be like... One seems to be specifically for drunks. One seems to specifically be for hookers. One seems... Like, if you watch as he's walking by them, what's inside...
Yep.
Which I thought was really interesting, all those storefront churches.
Well, and that's where we saw that pimp shaking the hooker.
The one where I thought they were dancing?
Yeah. And it looks so weird. It's like, you stand in the foreground, you walk in the background, you stand over here. Hey, we'll make a tableau of what dirty, dingy places
this was like
on
the
most
most R. Crumb of the whole thing.
Seriously.
Was that section.
Yeah.
God, that was like the one time that I went innocent. I was like, because AJ was like, did you see... As we're watching it, AJ was like, did you see that pimp shaking the girl? And I was like, no. I just saw the couple dancing. And AJ was like, that's what I was talking about. It's like, oh, I guess I missed that.
I mean, different strokes for different folks, I
no,
suppose.
I was really like...
That's what they do for romance.
Yeah, I just was really confused by that.
Oh, man. So how does he find the last dude?
The last dude,
this was weird. To me, he did the most work for the last dude.
Yes.
Because he not only goes to the radio station that he is revamping and asks the dude for a police scanner, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that feels like it would have made sense early on in the movie.
Right.
Right? The cops were doing some sort of police work to try to look for these bad guys. If he had taken that and he had used that as a tool through the whole movie, that kind of would have made more sense.
Well, I think the reason I agree with you overall.
Yeah.
But I think plot-wise, in this particular moment in the movie, why this makes sense the way it happened, is one of the guys doesn't actually die in that big shootout with the guns.
No, I know, yeah.
And the cop... One of, like, the LA cops sees that Vincent Gardenia's died. He goes up and he, like, shoves his finger into this dude's bullet wound and is like, who is the one who killed him?
That's right.
He said Nirvana. That was the guy's name.
Yep. And he's like, shut up.
What's
we know
his
that's
real
not
name?
His name.
Got his real name. And then he said that, like, the LA cop said to the rest of the cops something to the effect of, this is priority number 1. Everyone in town's looking for this guy.
Did Charles Bronson overhear that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
But it does make sense because
in the narrative sense. Yeah. I get that.
And he is specifically looking out for the one code
Yes.
that is like for SWAT.
Yes. Yeah.
To which
if that's what SWAT looked like in the early 80s, holy crap, man.
It's a scary place. Well, that SWAT team was nutso in that... Well, first of all, it was nutso in that Bronson hears the code, goes there, and there's a building...
there's not going to be surrounded.
Well, the building was surrounded.
Yeah, it was, and he drives through it.
And he still gets in the building somehow.
And he jumps onto the roof, and people are like, hey... Was that one of our guys on the roof? Like, how the hell would I know? You are the police chief or the police captain.
You
something.
Would know.
Jesus.
But he basically goes in, he tries to kill the guy, and this is when he gets cut in the arm really bad. The guy slices his arm open.
Yeah.
The last guy, Nirvana. Nirvana runs out in the street. You actually called this because like 50 cops are trying to take him down.
Yeah, and he's just punching him in the face and the gut. And also, nobody is shooting because, of course, there are way too many people on the street.
Bullshit.
Nobody has...
There was nobody on the street.
They would have closed it down if
Yeah.
they were doing something like that.
Absolutely.
And they were out in the open. You could see the snipers. No one would have been on that street.
Yeah. They easily could have killed somebody. Like, they could have killed that guy.
Right.
But they just don't.
And he takes on about 10 or 15 of them. It takes about 30 of them to just subdue him.
Bronson sort of watches this like in horror.
Yeah.
And this is actually when that scene, Bronson goes home at this point.
Right.
To try to fix his arm. And that's when the girl comes over, the Jill Ireland's character.
Right.
I actually really like this scene.
Do you?
Well...
That was the most worthless scene in the thing.
If
it had been executed better, I think it would have been much better.
That's exactly where I was going to go with it. Because I
Yeah.
thought there was a lot of really cool dramatic tension of like him standing there talking to her and all of a sudden like blood starts pouring down his hand.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to hide that and trying to get rid of her without making it super, super obvious.
Well, that's the thing, is I would have liked to... I know they didn't have that long to shoot this movie, like a month and a half, but I would have thought that there could have been more movement in the
apartment.
Like he was like, oh yeah, I'll go into the kitchen and put my hand in a closet or I don't know, just like
anything,
something else, because really all he does is like a kid who's been caught with a cookie. He just puts his hand behind his back. Come on.
Then he's like, I'll take you to dinner. You go away now.
And also he walks towards her as the blood must be streaming down on the floor. I don't know. Whatever.
You're right. You're right in that it's not great.
If it was directed better.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But I loved the setup of that. But anyways, so what ends up happening is like all of a sudden we're like 2 months later.
Yeah. And he's also asked her to marry him.
Yes.
Sometime in there.
At some point.
But then they find out, and this was actually why he was able to take 20 or 30 cops on, was because he was on PCP, and therefore he was out of his mind, so they send him to a correctional facility that is a psych ward, rather than a prison.
So at this point, Bronson decides to somehow get into the psych ward. He steals someone's badge, which is the weirdest thing because he looks exactly like the person on the badge, yet he then
makes up a fake name.
Makes up a fake badge and makes up a fake name. And that making the badge scene was one of the most incredible moments
bananas
I have ever, because he is writing, like he's got a stack of Xerox copies of this badge, and he's like writing the name on.
I left the original in the copier.
Okay, no, that didn't actually happen, but that would have been amazing. But he's trying to write, and like the first like 3 times he does it, his handwriting is so bad that he like crumples it up and throws it away, and then all of a sudden he looks at this badge. It's done, the handwriting's done, and he's like, oh, right, it's a good badge. And then we cut to the badge that has been laminated, and he's put his picture in it, and it's different handwriting.
Yeah, of course.
It was nuts. So he goes in, he pretends to be a doctor, and then he kills the last guy.
By throwing him into an electric shock machine?
Yeah, the electric shock therapy kills him. And then Charles Cyphers,
who plays the orderly.
Charles Cyphers, who's the dad in Halloween.
Nice.
He's Annie's dad.
Okay.
And he's in Major League and Assault on Precinct, a bunch of John Carpenter movies.
Yeah.
He basically sees what Bronson has done. The guy has stabbed Bronson in the chest like 9 times with a scalpel.
Yeah.
Meaning Nirvana's stabbed him like 9 times. Mm-hmm. And he looks at Bronson like, what's going on? Bronson's like, he killed my daughter and my housekeeper.
No, this was the greatest thing. The guy comes into the room, no shock at all.
No, he's totally fine.
Comes in, walks past Bronson, actually watches Bronson sit down, walks past him, checks that Nirvana is dead.
That's right. He does do
then walks back to the door, and he's like, hey, I'll give you 3 minutes, dude. I know what you went through.
Get out of here.
I'm cool with it.
Get out of here. And Bronson leaves.
And his soon-to-be wife, unfortunately, finds a copy that he didn't bother throwing in the trash can.
Of the ID.
Yep.
And she's like, oh my God. He is a
mother
killer.
With wonderful expositional radio on in the background saying somebody has just killed the last guy.
At Clark, what was it? Clark
McLaren or something.
McLaren Asylum or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's looking at the thing that says McLaren Asylum.
Yep. And then you see her reach down,
pull the ring off,
and put it with it.
Yeah.
And she leaves. He pulls right up.
Just barely misses
without being able to explain his insane psychopathy to her at all.
He's killed 20 people at this point, AJ.
Correct. Who knows more? Because we may not have seen all... No, wait. Yeah, they did say the... So 1920, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And responsible for the death of Ochoa.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So I think, overall, in this, I think we again see the bent of the storytelling being towards, no matter what they say, revenge is a good thing. Revenge brings down crime.
Yes.
It brings people closure and bullshit like that. And yet, in their post interviews and such, they say, no, I think he loses real bad when he murders these people. It's still glorifying it, man.
It totally is. I can't deny that.
I think we went over it a lot in the
other episode.
In Death Wish 1. Death Wish.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But what did we learn from it?
Well, so a few canon things that I actually really loved that I think we should kind of throw into that canon.
Yes.
Well, the way the gangs dress and act in several canon movies now are so cartoonish. Well, and the first Death Wish, which is not a canon film.
Right.
But the gang members in there are also cartoonish.
Did no one know what gangs were? Because I loved the scene where, well, I hated the scene where they were holding the daughter hostage.
Right.
But but Lawrence Fishburne is on a tire swing.
Yeah.
Do they not know what gang people do?
Well, I think the idea is that this just goes to, and I'm going to get a little political here, in that the way gangs actually work is there's a hierarchy system. They're after money.
Yeah.
They're actually run like businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, illegitimate businesses and whatnot.
Of course, and they're not,
But I think when people think of gangs, and especially back then when people thought of gangs, they thought of gangs the way Donald Trump describes immigrants, which is...
Yeah. Just unhinged people coming
the
worst
in,
of the worst, doing
all they're
anarchy.
Here for. Anarchy and destruction, which is not what that is.
There's people who harass other people.
Totally.
But it doesn't feel like that's all, like the Venn diagram is a circle in that.
Well, exactly. Well, and like even when there's that scene on the bus where there's just a woman standing on the bus and like all three gang members are just like walking up and like flipping her skirt, and then they get on the bus and she follows them on the bus. They harass her
continually,
more. And then they just like start walking around slapping people in the head.
And spray painting.
They knock a dude's hat off.
Yeah.
They like rip up a dude's newspaper.
Are not nearly this brazen.
Yeah.
And crime may have felt that bad. I mean, again, we weren't there.
Right.
But I can't imagine it was this nuts.
Well, I mean, I feel like I watched 12 assaults on the bus alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And some of them were as simple as knocking a hat off of someone's head.
Yeah.
But that's still, in this case, with everything else going around, with them being threatening, that is an assault.
And none of them had guns at that point.
No.
They were all going to buy guns.
That's right. They only had
can you imagine
knives.
if, like, somebody was like, hey, fuck you, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Had they never been roughed up by somebody accidentally?
I guess not.
Jesus.
That would be...
No, I do love the silly caricatures of gangs. What else?
Oh, but I was going to say, that was also in Death Wish, so this must have been an era thing.
Yeah.
Not just a canon thing.
No.
But canon clearly follows that through when it gets to, like, 10 to Midnight and other things.
Rapping.
Exactly. I, in this particular movie, loved for like a cinematic shock value.
Yes.
Not loved that it happened. When the daughter jumps out of the window.
Well, that cutting was actually quite interesting for not being able to show a woman landing on the fence, showing her jumping out, then cutting to
her falling,
the camera falling, like her point of view falling, and then having her fall on the
that got me so good,
quite effective.
I loved the blood pouring down the arm scene. If it's done better,
let's do it better.
I really loved
shooting through the boombox. Gotta have that.
Well, there's that too. The glass menagerie reference.
Interesting. Yeah,
which I thought was really fascinating because there's a moment in the beginning where the daughter is looking at these like glass animals, and she picks up a unicorn with the horn, puts it down, and then picks up a little kitty cat. Yeah. Which I don't think that was specifically supposed to be a glass menagerie reference. That just might be me being a fucking theater nerd.
It's got some creative person had to have slipped that in.
It had to have.
Yeah.
But I actually did like that moment. I thought there was something really interesting about that because it did make me it did remind me of like Laura's Fragileness. And if you are familiar with Glass Menagerie and know what happens in that play, it's a lot of shorthand for what's going on with the daughter.
Yeah.
Now, it is an obscure reference, so I think maybe 1/5 of the people watching the movie or less understand that reference.
Yeah.
But finding metaphors like that will go a long way. I think it's interesting. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, also, I feel like metaphors are for almost... I think it's for the benefit of the filmmaker.
Yes.
At first. And then it can bring other people in and hopefully appeal to them. Well, I feel like if you're the storyteller, you are doing it because you feel that that's right at that time.
Yeah.
Right? That it serves the story.
Well, I think the important part is not only does it serve the story...
Yeah.
Is it sets up a shorthand for the story.
Exactly.
Like, when we think of a metaphor... If I tried to describe a neighbor who's a terrible driver, I could go on for days of like, and then they pull in, and then they do this, and they do that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
But like the clean metaphor of my neighbor, he doesn't drive, he aims.
That's perfect.
It's a clean metaphor.
Yeah,
and I think that's the kind of metaphors that work because that is both for filmmaker but also for audience.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then the other last thing that I think is canon that I absolutely fucking loved was, and we both laughed our asses off at this, was the police van that was the van where they were doing surveillance on Nirvana.
Oh, God.
Do you remember what the outside of the van said?
Yeah, exterminators.
It was Tony's Exterminators Rat and Pest Control.
Fucking
which
brilliant.
Was like, again, on the nose, especially if you think of the rat metaphor from earlier.
Yeah, exactly. But then it was very interesting, even though we would have assumed, and he was on PCP.
Yeah.
It's interesting to show the impotence of the police, of the entire police brigade that they had out there.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I mean, if you're going to go for metaphors, that's one that they can't possibly control him, so it's got to be Bronson. It's got to be somebody taking it into their own hands.
You're absolutely right, because there are like 40...
I'm not advocating that, but that's exactly what they were saying.
But that's what the movie's advocating for. You know? And there were like 40 cops. You're right. There were 40 cops, and they could not do what they were supposed to do.
One more thing that I want to bring up is every side character is always so eccentric. Like just that doctor... That crazy doctor with the wig from at the very beginning of the movie.
I forgot about the doctor.
And they do this thing in Cannon movies where whenever a crazy person enters, the camera is way too close to the door almost, and when they come out, they just like nose up into the camera, so it almost gives you a fisheye lens.
Yeah, it's like shocking. So
it's good Lord, who are you? So, and there was no reason for him to be crazy, but let's make every side character just a little bit crazy.
Well, they're memorable.
Crazy.
You know? They're crazy.
Yeah.
One thing we should note, this is not necessarily canon, but when you think of Death Wish, how do you sort of imagine Bronson looking?
In what way?
Well, like clothes-wise.
Oh, yes. Well, mostly in like the all-gray sort of jacket and pants with that hat on.
With the black beanie.
With the black beanie.
And that was not in the first Death Wish movie. That was sort of invented for the canon
popularized.
Death Wish.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's sort of like, it feels like, you know, in Friday the 13th, Jason doesn't show up until the second movie.
Yes.
And even further than that, like, what's the most iconic thing about Jason?
His mask.
Which does not show up until the third
Right, because
movie.
he has the bag on his head.
Yeah, so the first movie, Jason's not in it. The second movie, it's a bag. And the third movie is the mask, which is so iconic.
Yes.
I think it's interesting that this sort of has that kind of a tinge to it in
Definitely.
that it's like the most iconic look of the movie.
Sure.
Does not actually like of the series does not happen until the second movie.
That's interesting. And he wears that hat spectacularly.
Oh my god, he does not know how to put on a beanie.
He does not.
That could be in an episode all by itself.
It really could.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad we checked off another one of the death wishes.
Yeah. 3 more.
3 more, man.
We can do it.
We'll power through this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. What's going on next week, Nick? Oh, you want me to say it instead of you? Oh, you have laryngitis really quickly in between the talk and the ending of the episode. That's really weird. Okay, well, next week we're doing a very bizarre movie called Doin' Time on Planet Earth. It's a 1998 movie by Cannon Films about a kid who thinks he might possibly be an alien. It's a trip of a movie, and I hope you like it. I think you might be able to find it on YouTube. But don't tell them that I sent you. Hope to see you next week. All right. Well, Mr. Pappas, Mr. Pickles, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas C. Pappas.
Wonderful.
Or my website, nicholascpappas.com, if you are so inclined.
It is such a well-designed website thing.
Thank you, Squarespace.
Yeah, totally.
Also, Squarespace is not sponsoring this episode, but if Squarespace would like to give us money now,
we would love to keep talking about you.
Yeah.
That'd be great. All right, you can follow me at the AJ Hamilton on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can follow this show at Creating Cannon, Cannon, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of the things. And please email us at creatingcannon@gmail.com with all of your thoughts on Death Wishes. Death Wishes?
Death Wishes.
Death Wishes. That's right.
Death Wishes.
And as we say every time, we wish you to have a good night
and good canon. What about the people who watch it during the day? Or listen during the day?
I mean, eventually we hope that they have a good night.
Good point. Good, AJ.
Goodbye.
I'm going to sing something and then AJ's going to record it and then put it on the air. God damn it. I fell into the trap anyways.
Yes, you did. I win.
It's just like the wind, man, you know, whoa, whoa. Death wish, do.